Hey guys, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is week one target report, and we also threw in some attempts as well. This is my metrics, what I use, and what I consider and think about for setting lineups. Thursday games are kind of hard. I don't really have a full set of material ready to go. So uh, I kind of have to wing it there a little bit, but uh, by Saturday evening, I'm pretty much ready to roll. So let's talk about targets and attempts, opportunities. Without opportunities, good players won't score. So that's why everybody pretty much massages the metrics to try to get leverage on opportunities, right? So that's always a speculation. Certainly in the preseason, it was a speculation as well, and it will continue every week to be speculated on, and that's just the way this is. So we're constantly chasing this week with last week's numbers. Just be aware of that and take them for what they are. It's an indicator, right? But you've got to use some common sense in the data as well. So, been trying to preach that. Continue to. It's hard. Care what people say. Oh, just go do that. Okay. It's tough. It's very tough. Making decisions under uncertainty is the toughest thing humans do as far as decision making. Okay, because we don't even know all the parameters, right? You go in to the roulette wheel and you know what your chances are, right? You can figure out, each number, what's the possibility that if, it will come up on average. That's called risk. Uncertainty means we don't even know. So imagine playing roulette and the wheel can have mystery numbers taken in or added or taken away. The size of the wheel can change. Size of the ball can change. The speed of it. Everything can change. It would be harder to play that game, right? Playing blackjack, we kind of know the possibilities. Imagine they invented a new suit, right? Or something like that, and all of a sudden, it's not as predictable. That's called uncertainty. So just if you want to work on that, and that's something that I think people who've been data scientists and people that work with data to make predictions have had more experience than those who haven't. There are books and other kinds of materials, videos and things. Just look up decisions under uncertainty and start trying to read that. There's books and whatnot, and maybe I should review some of those books down the road. Maybe for next off season I will. But anyway, there's books that allow you to think about that. Anyway, that's the first step, is just can know it's there, right? Okay. With that said, and my preaching's over for that. This is scaled targets per team, and this is scaled to the league average. To me, I like to see positive and negative numbers. That helps me figure out position that a team holds in uh, numbers. So when you see, and I did colorize the numbers, green is go and red is stop. That's why it's there. And so if you look at league average of targets for week one, and remember every week we'll get a bunch more data and we'll have a better show of, and a better metrics. But anyway, week one, the teams that had a lot of targets, probably a lot of passing then. Makes sense. Dallas, Detroit, Las Vegas, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Minnesota, Chargers, and Tampa Bay. So the teams that probably didn't pass as much and maybe run more were Baltimore, Cleveland, Rams, Miami, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Seattle, Washington, and New Orleans. And I scaled this, so these were high in targets, so you assume high passing. These were lower targets, scaled targets, lower in passing. So in a PPR game, you know, if a team, somebody said, hey, this team is going to be in the top 5 every week, you'd be taking lots of players from that team, right? So that's part of the speculation versus, oh, well, this team is not going to pass, you know, a lot each week for 17 weeks. Yeah, that's very critical information. The teams not colorized here are pretty much near average, so there's not really a lot you can do. It's hard to cut, slice and dice amongst kind of the average. It's the extremes that I think we have opportunities to invest in players or get rid of players, invest in trades, invest in daily fantasy sports, etc. So a lot of this can be in dynasty, these kind of things. You know, this just helps in setting the table for week 2, right? It's not, you know, we're not slave to these numbers, but it is intriguing that these numbers came as they did. So keep your eyes open for that. This is that data. I go team by position, some in team usage here. Some teams are really skewed and don't use running backs a lot, or don't use tight ends, or don't use, believe it or not, wide receivers as much. So you get a sense of the team's scripts on how they want to behave, right? And of course, week 1 we haven't seen, but you know, 1/17 or so of the season, so still a lot to be played, but we start looking for trends. So if you look here, and I did 4 teams in alphabetical order. Arizona loves their wide receivers, 75% usage. Atlanta almost balanced across the board, which is, I guess, good if you have the running backs and tight ends. But, you know, unfortunately, and I'm hoping this skew will change and it will look more like Arizona. I wish Atlanta looked like Arizona, because I was all in on Calvin Ridley. So we'll see if he's more of a bust. Again, Atlanta had a funky game there, so, but that's what the data shows. Baltimore actually surprised me. They were actually passing more than I thought they would. I thought they'd look more like Atlanta, and I wish Atlanta looked like Baltimore, right? Tight end, I think Andrews could have been used more, so I was a little disappointed there. Buffalo, exactly what I thought. I think you could have predicted this preseason. So sometimes what you think is going to happen actually does happen. And in the case, I think, to me, Arizona and Buffalo, I'm sorry, pretty much, I think, tail the tail. So you definitely want lots of pieces of the wide receivers from those teams, which a lot of people did. This is just a graph showing the visual and the scale. Look at Buffalo's scale of wide receivers. Goodness. The targets are in blue and the usage is in the line, the orange or light red line. And you can see Arizona and Buffalo really took the cake here. Atlanta was more balanced. Baltimore a little bit more towards it, uh, but you know, last year I think it would have looked a lot like that. Carolina, there's McCaffrey right there at 33%, so that's not surprising. The tight end's almost of non-use at Carolina and hasn't been. This is not surprising. I would really love to see the Carolina wide receivers go up a little bit. Chicago wide receivers, Komet got a lot of play. The running backs were less than I thought, 15%. So I'm keeping my eye out there. Cincinnati, they're investing heavily in the passing game. Forget their tight ends. Look at that, 9%. And Cleveland looks like they're trying to balance out the slate a little bit. Be aware, Njoku and Hooper, unfortunately, if one gets hurt, then I think the other is a must pick up for, especially tight end premium leagues. Right now, they're splitting. So I think Njoku had more targets, but just keep your eyes on that situation. OBJ, if he ever comes back, what are we going to see here? It's hard to figure out. 41's a little weak, kind of some weak sauce there. Hunt, I think, was getting some targets. I'm not sure really what to say about that. This is a little bit more balanced. Cincinnati was real off scale, and actually, if you look, Chicago was pretty much off scale, and Carolina really likes their running back. Look where the running back is compared to these 14. So that's probably going to be one of the highest teams is Carolina for the. It makes sense, right? If you've got Christian McCaffrey, you use him. Dallas, let's all pass all the time. Unfortunately, Elliott's not getting any of those. The tight ends, I was thinking, might have been a little higher than that, but just keep your eyes open. Denver, they love their tight end, and I think keep that balance there. Look at 30, almost 40% tight end. That's Fant is. I'm hoping is going to have a really strong season, so I'm encouraged by week one there. Detroit really surprised me. Look at that, 36%. Hawkinson at 20 and the other tight end, and the wide receivers at 44. So they're going to play balance, so that's going to weaken the wide receivers. So just be aware if you pick those up. Looks like a lot of the targets are going to be going elsewhere. Green Bay was all passing. I don't know what's going to happen because that game was so skewed. I just don't know what we're going to see. I expect this to change. Okay, I expect that bias to go. Here's the bias. Notice the Detroit. Really strong running back there, folks. Dallas all in on passing. Look at that. I mean, the script kind of writes itself here. Houston, kind of balanced, a little bit skewed to the wide receiver there. Indianapolis loves their running backs to catch. Look at that. And that, of course, hurts the wide receivers. I don't know if that's because Hilton is not there or they're not overly happy with all that, or they're just really pleased by who they have, as their running back. Jacksonville, all about that passing. So Jones, but again, you probably got three that are cutting the cake there. So good news, bad news there. Kansas City, I would have thought that number would have been close to 35% for the tight end. To me, that's weak sauce for Kelsey. I would have loved to see more than that. Soler probably, in PPR, he's just not going to get a lot of extra points from passing there. Be aware of that. Jacksonville, where we love our passing. Indianapolis, we love, look at that, even higher than the wide receivers. That's really unusual. Kansas City, Houston's a little balanced, but still skewed to the passing of the wide receivers. Chart, look at this number here. Eckler, no targets? What the hell? So this is shocking. It is hard to believe that's going to continue. Good for Cook, though, at 24. It was the Allen Mike Williams show. So is this the year that Mike Williams actually delivers for people who drafted him? That means if that happens, I always felt like Eckler was cutting into him, and it looks like has flipped. So I don't know. I will be shocked if this continues. The Rams, like their tight end a little bit, forget the running backs here. They're there to rush. And let's hit those wide receivers all day long. Vegas, the Raiders, looks like they want to stay balanced. Waller, they're 37. Can you imagine? Yeah, I think Waller can. Look at that. Almost as high as the wide receivers. So that is very intriguing. So that means the wide receivers play is going elsewhere. So good news for Waller and the running backs. But if you drafted wide receivers, be cautious about that. Miami likes their running backs. Gesicki at 15%. Oh, man. I really thought he was going to be closer into the 25 range. And not so good. Look at this skew chart. Forget. You just can't believe that. And the Rams doing the same thing. Hell, they look like the same team, don't they? Trying to bias to the tight end and the wide receiver, but their, running backs are okay. Miami kind of looks like they're forgetting about their tight end. So I'm curious to see. Remember, this is week 1, so let's let this play out. But there's some shocking data here for me as a data person. Minnesota, Cook got a little play. Don't think you can play the tight ends. Wide receivers and running backs. That seems about right. Looks like some balance there with New England, with James White's going to be playing his role. The tight ends are cutting each other up, but 21's not bad. The wide receivers, I wish, since I drafted a few, would have been closer in the 60s versus the 50s. New Orleans, I am really concerned about if you took any of the New Orleans wide receivers. It looks like the tight ends are going to be used. Trouble is there's 2 of them, but I think that new, is he a rookie? Juwan, whatever? He may be a pickup, folks. People may have missed him in the waiver run. Everybody's looking at Mitchell. Just, if you have a tight end premium league, if he's still in there, definitely. In fact, I got to look at that myself. Kamara there, that seems right. The Giants, it's all about that passing. Until Ingram comes back, I think this is what we will see. If Ingram comes back, let's see if he can chip into 69% there. Giants passing. New Orleans, I wish they would have done more passing. Looks like they're going to be rushing a lot. Minnesota loves the passing, but they give Cook his show. The Jets, a little balance with their tight end, folks. Be aware of that. They're not forgetting their tight end. Their running backs they're going to forget about, but not their tight end and wide receivers here. Philadelphia, look at that. Ertz and Goddard and 22, you would have thought that'd been 30s. So the running backs were getting more play than I thought, and the wide receivers in the 50s. Wish that was higher. Pittsburgh, not really surprised here. Look at this. All the eggs are in passing. Seattle's trying to stay a little balanced. Everett there at 24%. Be aware. I wish Metcalf and Lockett, I wish his number was close to 70. So they may cost you a little bit here. Worried. Here this is. Pittsburgh's all about the passing. Jets kind of about the passing, but they do like that tight end. Look at that. That's very intriguing. San Francisco, all about the passing. Kittle would have wanted 35%. Really worried about Kittle. I didn't draft him as much as I did last year, and I may be glad of that. Tampa Bay, look at that, 22%. That's strong. So they're going to be trying to balance it out. Looks like the tight end, O.J. Howard, didn't get much play. Gronk got all the play. 61%. You know, that seems reasonable. That seems more real, this balance here. Tennessee trying to, I was hoping the tight ends would get more play, but looks like not. So it's probably running backs and wide receivers. Washington, there's those running backs. I think they're going to feed Gibson. McKissick, I hope, joins in the fray here. Thomas, Logan, paging Logan. I know you brought home some stuff, but 3 targets? Come on, man. I drafted Logan a lot, can you tell? Wide receivers, I wish that was closer to 60, 65%. Tight end, Tampa Bay, Tennessee here. So go through this, and like I said, this is articles on Fake Pigskin. Take a look and just note the skews. And I like the pattern of the teams. Just certain teams look a lot alike other teams. So I think there's some strategies on how teams are going. Just see if things come different. If it starts to become the rule, then you can use that to your advantage in daily fantasy sports plays, trades, etc. I did look at the positions. So the green is the good ones. The red are the not so good ones. Look at the Chargers. Who would have thought? Eckler, you kidding me? Indianapolis, Detroit, surprise. Carolina, probably not. Washington, no. Miami's a little surprised. New Orleans, and no. Actually, just surprised really at Detroit. Here, I really was a little surprised about Elliott. San Francisco, I don't know. But anyway, keep your eyes open here. And I just plotted it out so you can actually look at the team usage and the target numbers here and kind of just see where the top targets were and the usage the team applied. New Orleans, number 1 in tight end team usage, not targets. That would have been Waller at 19. But of percentage of the team. So that's going to be a hidden stat a little bit. So keep your eyes open. Here's the top. Looks like they're going to be using Pitts and Hurst a lot in Atlanta. So that may be a good investment there. I'd pick up Hurst if you've got a deep bench, and especially tight end premium league that I play in. I went and picked him up in some places. Everybody's kind of asleep here. Imagine if Pitts gets hurt. Oh, my goodness. Tennessee, Washington, I think Ingram. I think that changes. Arizona, Pittsburgh. I would have hoped Ebron would have done better, but that looks sucky. Probably not surprised at some of that. But anyway, let you consider here. Here's another way. Look at Waller. Oh my goodness. He cannot keep that up. Look at Denver right there. Okay, so you can see the extremes right here in some of these teams. Look at the usage right here. Interesting. So I do enjoy this data. Here's the good, and then here's the not so good. Really worried. And if Thomas comes back and New Orleans is winning, are they going to change their stripes to fit Thomas? I don't know. That's, I'm holding on to Thomas like many of you probably are, and I don't know. That does concern me here. Buffalo, 82%. Pittsburgh. These teams in the green are all in on passing every day. So that gives more value to the deeper plays. And injury handcuffs for wide receivers have a better show in those teams that they're going to be used more. Okay. Not sure that is ever talked about a lot. People don't talk about that, but I would talk about that and think about that. So when deep benches, start looking for the deep stashes here. And then here's, some of the ones, the total targets that just jump out. Look at Dallas. Look at Buffalo. Wow. Jacksonville even. And who's this third one here? The Chargers. Okay, well, poor Eckler. That's all I got to say. So this is an interesting figure. It kind of shows the extremes, the highs, the lows, and neither is just average. So you can start considering what week one tells us about the teams. And I think by 3 or 4 weeks, we'll have a better feel for game scripts teams are trying to apply. On average, I mean, anything can happen, right? Crazy stuff can happen. And, game teams, what they want to do can go out the door. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your mind, too. By the way, never indecisions under uncertainty. One thing is things are always squishy. If you want hard, for sure probabilities, then you don't need to play fantasy football. Go to the casino. I'm not saying you'll win money, but you'll have the hard probabilities. Roll that dice and craps or hit the roulette wheel or the rake payback for slots. I mean, you know what's there. No surprises. Fantasy football is uncertain. So this is bringing in the players a little bit. You can go into the sum of the targets. You can look at the percentages sorted by targets and targeting rate kind of per snap thing. And I scaled the numbers a little bit on a scale of 1 to 100, 0, the worst, to, well, obviously -2. So a minus number is really poor. In other words, that's, Max Williams didn't get a lot of snaps and he only got one target, or he got too many snaps and only got one target out of the snaps. Okay, that's what I mean there. The ratio of snaps and targets is really wonky. Versus Rondale Moore, people talking about him, the talent. I'm just telling you, he gets a 73 on rate. In other words, his snaps he was used and the targets he got was really skewed in a positive way. So that would tell me that if there was an injury situation, okay, I think the coaches are going to wake up where somebody like Green, he gets a 28 and he only got 6 targets. So You know, how long can the coaches keep feeding green? I don't know. Just, I see what I see here, folks. Here's Atlanta as well. Not sure anything just really hits me. You know, Pitt's got 8 targets. Hurst 4. Hurst is enough. You might get you a touchdown, especially in a tight end premium league. Ridley got 8. I would have thought he got closer to 14. So, but notice nobody else. Gage, everybody was really, people were high on Gage because they thought, you know, this would be like 14, this would be like 8, 9. You know, I don't know about Patterson, but anyway, I don't know what went with Atlanta. So I'm hoping this gets better. Atlanta gets healed. Baltimore, people rushing out for Williams here, but notice Richard is the pass catching guy there. Notice they almost split targets. Andrews, 5. He deserves 10. Weak sauce. Watkins and Brown, about the same. A little skewed to Watkins, but pretty much the same player. Singletary's, looks like he's not going to get a lot of throws. Knox, not good. Diggs and Beasley, I think Beasley should have, I don't know. People were talking about, oh, this, that, the other. Not he. If anybody left him or drops him, that's a good number. 47, almost 50% is a good number for a rate. So with that a target. Sanders, 8, 25. Carolina, McCaffrey with 9. I would have hoped that's more. They don't like their tight ends. More. Robbie Anderson, 3 targets. What? And look at that rate, 11. That's, so the rookie got a 49, better than all of them as far as targets per, target rate. I'm gonna watch that scenario. Be cautious. Don't give up on Anderson yet, but this may be closer to a 3-way split than we thought. Kimmett, I liked him. I think he's worth a grab. Robinson's doing what Robinson does. Don't give up on Mooney yet, but 25%. Good one actually had a higher rate, but less targets. Cincinnati, everybody talking about Chase, but really, I think the whole system was not so good on the passing, folks. Be cautious. Boyd, really concerned. I really thought that, thought that it would be Boyd up here and Chase there. So that, I'm waiting to see. I would have thought for Cleveland, these guys have got more targets. Here's Njoku over Cooper. That's 8 of the 10. And they added another tight end. So they like their tight ends, but they want to split the targets. Anthony Swartz is 5. Is that as good as Landry? What? Who is this guy? If OBJ doesn't come back or gets hurt or whatever, looks like this. 5 targets, though, is pretty weak sauce. That's like tight end level here. That's weak. Cooper and Lamb, look at this. There's your wide receiver target levels right there. Okay, Pollard over Elliott, not surprised. Really love these guys. Look at the rates, nice. 60s, 70s. Gordon over Javonte, so that, if you drafted Gordon over him, that's a good sign. You'll maybe get a few points as this guy steals your thunder a little bit. Fant, 8. Got a 43. I would have liked this to be closer to 12. Judy's hurt, so everybody's talking Patrick, but Hamler got as many as Patrick, and his rate was better. Sutton is the surprise. 3 targets? I I think things are going to change there. Look at Detroit and its running back. Look at these numbers. 83 for Jamal Williams. Wow. Hawkinson. 34 though, folks. He should have got more. Cephas Benson. Cephas got a good rate there. Good luck trying. Looks like they're going to split the pie 5 ways. The lowest is 3, the highest is 7. That's something else I look at. Looks like everybody's about the same in some ways. Whereas, say, look at Green Bay, 7-7, and then a drop. So that, okay. And so Scantling is as good as Adams? Huh? I don't know about that, but I think Adams should have been in the 14s. So I expect that's going to change. David Johnson, people written him off, but it looks like you're going to use him over these other cats. So there you go. The surprise was Pharaoh Brown here, 5 targets. I would have thought it would have been the exact opposite here, so keep your eyes open. Amendola got 5 targets. Look at 87. That cat never leaves, but still 5 is weak sauce. Cooks, I wish they would have got over 10. Hines and Taylor, about the same. Hines did better than Taylor. Target rate. Pascal with 5. And they got some big issues in, look, 5 and the lowest is 2. There's no distinction there. That's not good. Robinson did get 6. People writing him off, but 34, that's a poor rate. Sonacy got 8 targets, 36. So he might be a streamer. Just keep that number. Looks like it's a 3-way punch here with these guys. The best is Shark, Chenault right there. They're pretty close, almost 1A, B, and C here. Kelsey got 7 of the 8 targets. He should have got 12, 13 targets. Come on, Kelsey. Tyreek, and forget these guys. That's the way it's been in 77. That's nice. Glad we all drafted Hill. Cook, that was a pleasant surprise there. Close to 50, so that was a good draft here. Eckler's not even on here. What the hell? Mike Williams at 12. Wow. So he amazed me this year. Just keep your eyes open. One of these two might be the injury handcuff, because if one of these goes down, there's going to be some target. Of course, if they start Eckler, Mike Williams should go down. So, Cup really distanced Woods. Who would have thought that? You would have thought Cup and Woods would have been like Adams, Allen, and Williams. That was surprising. Higbee at 6, it's okay. The Drake, I wish he got more. Jacobs got 2, so he's the rusher. It's good if you have Drake. Something happens, this guy looks like he's going to be the passing guy. So if Jacobs gets hurt, Drake will rush, and this guy will maybe get a few more targets. Waller, it all goes to Waller. 19 targets, goodness. Renfro got 9 when the tight end got 19. That's not bad. Notice these two cats kind of went to sleep here. So I was a little surprised that Renfro got as much play as he did. Gaskins at 5, but Ahmed at 3. So don't forget him as an injury handcuff, because I think he could come in if something happens to Gaskin. Gasecki at 2. That I don't know what that meant. That astounds me. 7 and 6. I would have thought be 10 and 8, but anyway, I'm a little concerned about Miami long term. They're not going to win with these kind of numbers, target numbers. Okay, before I get started, I got to get preachy again. Have you ever wondered why there's so many people that rank? You would think, if think about it, if it was easy to rank, then you'd have one or two and that'd be it. Why would you have everybody else ranking? Fantasy pros, what, they have hundreds, 200 people? Then they end up being consensus. That's what the stock market is consensus. The reason they have so many is uncertainty, folks. Well, this person is at number one and this one's number two. It's just not that direct. Like I said, we don't really deal with hard probabilities, regardless of how people would like you to think. It's not that way. So just realize that this process and me going through the data and how I deal with it, my process, is because it's trying to mimic what I have done as a biologist, as a scientist, publishing papers and getting grants, etc., finding and pushing data, because it's not, think about it, when you're a biologist, you're doing things you don't know what's going on sometimes, a lot of time. And since we have limited vision, we can't maybe see everything that's there. And that's a lot like fantasy football, folks. And that's why I have a process is not straightforward, right? I could give you here's the numbers and, follow them. You cannot, until kickoff, when you're finally finished setting those lineups, you always wish you could have more time because you're tweaking, and that's just the way it is, and that's the way I am on things. I'm constantly thinking, probably overthinking sometimes, underthinking sometimes. All I can do is use a process to try to level out some of my poor decisions and enhance some good decisions. And that's the best I think any pundit can do in this world. Okay, let's get back. Minnesota here. Cook was 7. That's nice. I sure seemed like he had a platoon behind him getting 5 more targets. Come on, Minnesota. Don't give all those targets. Cook could take them. Conklin, Thielen, Jefferson, and Osborne. Folks, I picked up Osborne, probably overreacted to the 9 targets. Thielen and Jefferson were high in ADP preseason. Osborne was not probably even drafted. I have been grabbing him in deep benches only. Okay, when I say deep bench, we're not talking 5 or 6. We're talking 10, maybe more players on a deep bench. Okay, so I grabbed him. He's potentially might get lucky and be a good flex play one week if there's a really good matchup. And if Thielen Jefferson gets hurt, he might have a lot more value than, what you'll pay for him, which I've been trying to pick him up for $1, okay, out of my budget. That's out of $1,000. In place I play, we get $1,000 budget. So I do $1, and I picked him up, and hey, he's worth $1, and that's why. James White at 7 for New England. That's not surprising there. Sanu and Hunter. Looks like they're about the same play. Sanu a little more this week, maybe Hunter next week. I don't know. If one of them gets hurt, then you might have something. Unfortunately, hope nobody gets hurt, by the way. But we got to deal with that. Myers and Aguilar, looks like they're 1A, 1B. Take one, take the other. Take the one who's cheaper. Get one for $1. I doubt you can get one for $1, but might get one for 1%. So that'd be $10. That's good. Go for it. New Orleans, Kamara 4. Come on, folks. Notice Tony Jones, the big squawk, 1 target. Come on now. Troutman and Juwan Johnson. Notice he got a 73 rate. That means he didn't get a lot of snaps, but got a lot more attention. So the only thing stopping his meteoric rise is this guy getting 6. So, and Dynasty, he might be a play. The wide receivers, are you kidding me? Don't know what to think about that. Supposedly Callaway's the dog. Yeah. Barkley only had 3 targets in the Giants. Come on, man. Rudolph at 5. I guess he's a placeholder to Ingram's back. So hopefully Ingram can get 10. Shepard, Slayton, and Galladay. Looks like 3 pieces of the puzzle here. Really enjoyed, since I got Shepard in a lot of places this year. So I was pleased with week 1. Galladay, he should have been up. It should have been the reverse. Probably Slayton, right? You would have thought ADP would have said Galladay, Shepard, Slayton. And you got it. Shepard, Slayton, Galladay. 30 on the rate. These guys were in the 40s. So probably, Slayton may be still out here. He may be a good injury handcuff. I might pick him up for $1. The Jets, Ty Johnson and Carter. People threw Carter away, but nothing here in the targets suggests keeping him or not keeping. Jets love their tight ends, but they're going to go ahead and hurt fantasy football players by giving them about the same targets. Kind of New England trick. Helps the team, doesn't help us. So unless one gets injured, it's a void. Berrios, as much as Davis, oh man, that's a surprise. I guess Crowder's coming back, so maybe this will reshuffle. But Berrios sure got more than I thought, and he got a 54. Maybe worth $1. Sanders, Gainwell at 3. That's not bad. I picked him up where I could. Goddard is 5. Come on, man. Needs to be at least 10. Devonta Smith, a hot dog. Rieger did well. 8 and 6. That's nice. It's nice. Watkins, supposedly the slot guy, he didn't get much. So, I like Smith. Harris got 3 targets. Look at the tight ends. That just sucks. No offense. I would have thought Ebron got 6. Dante Schuster, Claypool, a little light there. That surprised me, folks. I would have predicted Johnson, Claypool, Schuster. So I guess these 2 I would have flipped. Johnson looks like he got a good rate, 66, not bad. Carson got 3 targets. Disley, Everett, I know everybody's talking about Everett, but notice 5 targets total. That just sucks. Metcalf and Lockett, 5 targets each. Be concerned about Seattle. I picked up Russell Wilson a lot of places. I was not wanting to see this. I know it worked out, and we got touchdowns, and it's all good. Everybody forgets. I wanted 10 and 10. So, if this keeps going, and they still get touchdown, let's just say this week they get 6 and 6 targets, and they get, say, a touchdown each or whatever. Boy, that's going to make me nervous, because touchdown dependency will catch up with you at some point. And I don't want to go into my playoffs with wide receivers that are getting 5 or 6 targets. I mean, you go with what you got, but that's not what I'm looking for. San Francisco, I guess they don't target their running backs. Kittle at 5, come on. 5? Should have been at least 10. Samuel, look at that, 12. Is that because Ayuk was just pretty much out of the picture? Samuel, I think, is going to be the workhorse. I think he's a trade for, but I think wait for him to have maybe Ayuk comes back and maybe he draws some attention. Maybe that's how you can get Samuel in a trade. Fournette, 7 targets. I think he's going to be more valuable than I thought. I just didn't see Rojo in the doghouse, but boy, he got under the doghouse. Gronkowski got 8 targets. Wow. O.J. Howard, Brait, what? Remember they have some other tight ends? Boy, if this continues, unless Gronk, slows down or gets injured, that's not good for any of those other tight ends. Godwin at 14, Antonio at 7, and Edwards at 6. And Antonio did pretty good, 46. Goodwin at 60. That's not bad. I'm not sure what to do with Evans. I'm watching. Tennessee. Been picking up Matt Nichols every which way I could. Notice that rate of almost 50. That's kind of a nice metric I like to see. So I'm picking him up, especially if I have Henry. You can pick him up for $1. Fisker, I've been dropping him. I probably overreacted. Brown, Rodgers, and Julio, the same number of targets. What the hell? And Chester got a higher rate, as good as Brown. What? I don't know what's going on in Tennessee. These numbers were disappointing. I would have liked Rodgers 6 to go here and here. So definitely he's the fly in this ointment. Gibson, probably not a surprise. I would have thought McKissick would have got more targets as well, closer to 5. So I don't know. Thomas at 3. I'm really concerned. I've drafted him a lot of places. Want to see at least 8. Dynamic Brown and McLaurin. Looks like they're a 1-2 here. I think you can pick up either one, but folks, if you do, look at that. 4. I'm concerned about their quarterback. People are not saying it, but I am. I think I'm sticking with the running backs, and I'm not sure how many I'm playing of there. Not happy about that. Disappointed, I think, would be the word. Okay, just some data information here, just so you can see my thinking. What we have are called box and whisker population graphs. So I looked at all the running backs, all the tight ends, and all the wide receivers. I then calculated where the majority of the players in that each type were. That's called one standard deviation unit, and that would be right there at the high end. And that's a 4. I think that's a 5, and that's a 7. So 4, 5, and 7 targets. So for week 1, any running backs, tight ends, or wide receivers above those numbers were in the extreme positive side of the data. Okay? So that's how I judged good performance for the week. Okay, as far as getting targets. Okay, we're not talking scoring or touchdowns. Okay, I know people, well, where's those touchdowns? You start with opportunity, folks. Opportunities. So here are the ones that were landed on for this week. Probably the surprise, I think Fournette was a surprise for me. Williams at Chicago, if Cohen ever comes back, maybe he doesn't have a spot or much of a spot. He's a good dollar for a holler. Uh, mm, Whoever's got Elliott's got Pollard. This guy, Ingo, maybe? McNichols, yep. So remember I said I picked up McNichols? That's another reason. Not only had a good targeting rate, but he was in the top 33% last week. Here's the top 33 of the tight ends here. Kittle barely makes it. Sucks. O'Shaughnessy at 8. So just keep your eyes open here. That's a nice number. So maybe I should go get him. Commit, I've definitely grabbed him where I could. I don't think you can get him for $1, but worry about, here's New Orleans 1, here's Troutman, and I don't see the other guys. So, and Pharaoh Brown, that was a surprise. There's a few surprises here. Wide receivers had a bunch that were above 7 and above. Find the ones that were surprising you could grab. Barrios. The thing with down here is you probably can get them cheap, but it's just 1 week. So I like to stay over here, and that's why I picked up Osborne every which way but loose right there. Think about it, look at everybody else above him. You've heard of those names. I've never heard of this guy. So I went and picked him up, and now that I see this, I need to go pick him up some more. In the deep bench only, folks. Deep bench. That's a whole game on how to play your bench and waiver wires and churning and that kind of thing. Real quick, let's talk about the running backs because they also have a rushing component. So real quick, I looked at all the teams and figured out the total rushes from the team week 1 and the passing targets and made a simple ratio. Percentage rush versus passing. So a high number means pretty much all rush. Low number pretty much lots of passing compared to rushing. So I designated rushing running backs on these teams. Notice Chargers as a rushing running back team. What the hell? Who would have thought that? They should have been down here. And then here's the passing ones, and here's pretty much balanced teams. So there's probably some secrets here, and I probably need to do some more data long term. What does this mean for biased teams one way or the other versus outlook for the season? In other words, can we look at the first few weeks and in weeks, playoffs, can we still say that these exist in these teams? In other words, can we make early predictions that hold true? I don't know. But there's you a good question. So that's part of my process as well. When I think of a question like this, I hope I remember it, go write it down and then go do your research. Or come back to me, email me and say, if this really intrigued you, let's say the first 4 weeks, does that predict the behavior of teams, in the last 4 or 5 weeks, playoffs? Okay, feel free to email me, contact me through Fake Pigskin, Twitter, at Professor Fantasy 1. That's me. Hello. maybe in off season. Remind me. I'm getting old and tired. So here's the teams. So we have the teams. There's 4 per box here. Player, some of the rush, some of the pass, and we have opportunity. I think people call these touches as well. So, hey, I did the whisker, box and whisker, and any player that has green means that they were in the upper third of running backs for week 1 in opportunities. So I did distinguish the rushing and the passing. So Arizona had Connor and Edmonds both in the upper quadrant, upper third. That is amazing. I don't know if that will continue. Atlanta had Mike Davis there. Baltimore, since they got a platoon, nobody could reach. And by the way, the bottom line was 16 opportunities. Tyson got 13. Well, that's close. Yeah. I like to see who's out there. Okay. Singletary did pretty good, 16. McCaffrey, Montgomery, Mixon, Chubb. So probably a lot of these are not surprising. I didn't say this was amazing, but you need to understand that. And then maybe look, here's Williams at 11. That's not bad for a second dog here, right? Second string guy. Okay? Think about that. That's who you hunt. Hubbard probably doesn't have independent value. He got 2 versus Williams with 11. You see, who has independent value? Look, he's got 11. Kareem Hunt got 9. What the hell? So, yeah, that's interesting. So that next layer may be helpful as well. So take a look at that. Detroit, look at that. 2 out of their 3. Dallas didn't do it. Denver, pretty close. Okay, I know it's horseshoes. Close. Just be aware. I see it's close. Green Bay, what is going on? Look at these opportunities. Are you kidding me? Not good, Aaron Jones. Ingram, 27. Folks talking about, well, Ingram, he's washed up. I don't know. 27 opportunities. I'll take him for $1 or 2 or 3, maybe 10. Taylor and Hines both also did it last week. It's hard to guess. Jacksonville, probably unsurprisingly, they didn't. And notice Hyde was the same as Robinson on opportunity. Not good for James Robinson. Come on, folks. Solaire got 17. That actually surprised me. Okay. Eckler, 0. What? Just 1 target he would have got in there. Okay. Notice Roundtree at 8. People, get rid of this, guys. Grab this guy, I think. Henderson, Michelle, what? 17-1. Jacob Straight. We need somebody to have, a week or 2 off, and then we might take the other one. Gaskins, he's almost there, but not quite. Cook, nice. Harris, nice. Look at White right there. But Williams in Chicago, 11. Tony Jones at 12. Don't leave him on the waiver wire. Booker at 5. That sucks. Saquon at 13. People would draft him like 2 or 3 early June. That's sad. I think I changed my font here. Sanders, not bad. Gainwell, I picked him up every look at 12. That's nice. Carson at 19. Nice. Mitchell, that's why I look 19. He's in the upper third. That's why people going crazy. I did get him in a few places, but I didn't spend but about 30%. So, Fournette really surprised me. Look at that, 16. Henry. Nichols is worth a handcuff only. Probably doesn't have a lot of independent value. Gibson. McKissick at 2. That the most shocking of the week for me. If you look last year, you would not have predicted that for this year. Okay, that's all the show here. 56 slides, heavy into some preaching. Okay, data preaching, uncertainty preaching. This is Dr. Bush process. You get to see what I get to see. You're actually getting, notice I hadn't showed rankings. Okay, those are probably not as important to me as this other data because of uncertainty, folks. If we had hard probabilities, I wouldn't have to do all this. Okay, come back. I should have the matchups coming later in the week. Okay, come on back. Probably Saturday. Come on back.